And we're back here on Sunday morning at 11:30 with Brooke and myself, talking about Dr. Mao Shing Ni's latest book, Live Your Ultimate Life, doing a little book review and discussion on his latest book. I saw a couple of his videos on one of his emails this week. I didn't realize he has written 16 books, Brooke.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew it was quite a lot, but I didn't realize it was that many, 16 books. And of course, he's a doctor of Chinese medicine, acupuncture, and has a pretty big outfit there in Santa Monica, California.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're continuing our journey on life's journey according to the five element in Dr. Mao's book. And we thought we'd go over letting the journey begin on page 290 of the book, and just go ahead and give us a review of that, Brooke, if you can.
Sure. Your life is a journey, so let it begin. We take traveling for granted today in an age when one can circle the globe in 48 hours. Unlike our ancestors who traveled from one continent to another on years-long caravan trips filled with challenges, today I can have breakfast in Buenos Aires and dinner with my family in Los Angeles, all without much of a thought. The pace of life and the flow of information have also sped up, leaving us breathless, overloaded, and longing for a simpler, slower time. Decide the pace of your journey and build in time to stop, reflect, and recharge as you progress towards your next destination. It's funny because I just read a quote, I think it was last night or this morning, where it says, "Be a traveler, not a tourist." And, I don't think I would have understood what that meant until this year. With studying the I Ching and all of that. And that's very profound. And that this reminded me of that.
Yeah, well, I, of course, also, and probably most of us have kind of neglected some of that wisdom. I know when I was younger, I can remember maybe in my 20s, I remember a journey begins with a single step deal. I can't remember the exact wording of that. So yeah. So I got that, but I didn't realize how fast I'm supposed to take those steps. And so I was like, taking giant steps, fast, quickly steps, running and running and running. And so when you read that this morning about decide the pace of your journey,
Yeah.
I hadn't considered the pace of the journey. And I didn't consider at all the time to stop, reflect, and recharge as you progress. So it was like full speed ahead.
Yep.
For many years. And it seemed like my journey progressed pretty rapidly because I was taking giant fast steps. But my relationships and probably my health suffered because I didn't take time to stop, reflect, and recharge. And of course, I hadn't decided the pace of that journey either. Somebody I was listening to this week, I think they were trying to give advice in one word, and I can't remember who. It was some psychologist, but he was saying if he had to give advice in one word, it would be slow down.
Yeah.
But when we're younger, we don't necessarily agree with that, or maybe we can't even do it for whatever reason.
There was this point, like a couple months ago, where every time I would ask the I Ching something, it would practically yell at me and tell me that I was a yang person in a yin situation. And I just was determined I was going to learn how to practice yin. And it helped a lot. I mean, I think things just kept being thrown at me to learn how to slow down and to contemplate. And yeah, I guess I was on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, and for those listening, when you said young, I thought you were saying the word young as in age, but you're actually saying yang, Y-A-N-G, which is the opposite of yin, yin and yang.
Americans say yin and yang, and I guess I learned yang. So I don't know. I don't know if Dr. Mao would tell me which way.
Yeah, of course, in the Spanish languages, it would be a yang. I'm guessing. I usually say yang, but I think I've heard it both ways, so probably both ways. Yeah, but that would be interesting. How do you say it how would the Chinese say that? Of course, the Chinese language is more of a singing type language, so there's some definite way that you rise the pitch or lower the pitch when you say that, because if you do it any other way, it means a different meaning entirely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, see, and then continuing on, Dr. Mao talks about people work at dying, they don't work at living. Let's see what that's about. He says, he gives an example of Jack LaLanne, which some of the younger folks, I don't know, can you remember Jack LaLanne? But he was a famous bodybuilder back, I think in the 60s, 70s. He was on TV a lot doing his exercise and kind of one of the original muscle men guys. And so Dr. Mao was talking about Jack when he was in his early 90s. He was still fit, working out 2 hours a day. And he joked that he hated dying because it would ruin his image. So he says Jack was very clear about his purpose early on, which is to help people through prevention. So at 21, he was opened the nation's first health and fitness club in Oakland, California. And he offered weight training and exercise training, nutrition advice. And I can remember seeing him on TV a lot as a youngster and a teenager.
Yeah.
And now that I recall, when I was that age seeing him, I was reading comic books, and all the comic books, they would have an advertisement for showing a guy on the beach, and he was somebody was kicking sand in his face that says, sign up for our course and nobody will kick sand in your face. You know, the idea was to do this bodybuilding thing. I don't know if that was his probably not his advertisement, but that was big back then, as you sign up for these courses and for guys anyway, you build up a strong body so nobody kicks sand in your face at the beach. Yeah. So anyway, Jack LaLanne, he swam the entire length of the Golden Gate Bridge in his 60s, underwater and handcuffed.
Yes, I remember that. I remember hearing about that. Now I recognize him. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty amazing. So the idea is that you don't work at living, or you don't have that plan worked out. And Jack died at the age of 96, so that's amazing stuff there. Okay, so then, but Dr. Mao asks us, are you packed for your journey? So we're often unprepared for the journey. Some people bring what they don't need and leave what they need behind. So in my early years, I brought my track shoes so I could run fast, but I didn't bring my lounging clothes to stop and take a break or something. I don't know. So anyway, so he says, take an inventory of what you need and then decide if you already possess the items or will have to obtain them. And from time to time, Dr. Mao is always suggesting to write down the answers to the questions. That gets them more firmly into your mind, and you can refer back to them from time to time. I do remember, actually, I think I was in my first year of college or so, and I, on my own, just decided I'd write down some goals. Mm-hmm. Now, one of my goals was to be able to ride down a country lane on a bicycle and enjoy the scenery. I think at the time I liked riding a bicycle, and the idea was very appealing to take that leisurely little slow ride and enjoy the scenery. But I don't think I took the advice because, like I said, I was full steam ahead.
Oh no!
All the time. But I definitely wrote that down, and I probably got it somewhere to this day in a notebook. Those half a dozen or so goals that I thought I would really like to fulfill.
Yeah.
So he says, what are the essential ingredients I need, both within and without, to achieve my goals? Whose expertise, skill, and advice do I need to get me there? And what may stand in the way of me reaching my destination? So he says, record the answers to these questions in your journal. Okay. Yeah, so I kind of, since did that, but I didn't pay attention to it. Although I certainly recall it, 50 years later. Okay, and then he goes on to commitment. How about giving me some hints on commitment on 293, Brooke?
Yes. Perceive your life purpose as a gift you give to the world each day. You have special talents and gifts that, when expressed through your core elemental personality, allows you to live purposefully each and every day. To live a purposeful life requires commitment. It's certainly easier to just forget about it all and go back to your old pattern of work, TV watching, internet surfing, fitful sleep, weekend debauchery, and then repeat. Boy, isn't that the truth.
Yeah.
If you want a meaningful life, how do you find the strength and endurance for a lifelong commitment? It seems overwhelming, doesn't it? The secret lies in affirmation and dedication, one day at a time. You see, most people can handle devotion for a day, but not many can promise devotion for a lifetime. At the start of your day, use this following invocation to strengthen your resolve to an authentic life.
Yeah, and Dr. Mao, in the Chinese tradition, they have what's called invocations, which we might call prayers or meditations. And the idea is to kind of get into your mind what you're thankful for, what you look forward to, and ask for help to carry those things through.
Yeah, like a mantra.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and you can do it in any way, in the prayer type, what he calls invocations, meditation. You could even do it in silence in some respects. Years ago, I went to a couple of friends meetings, which are but I can't think of them. They're kind of like Amish, but not. But it's called the Society of Friends, and I did not know when they have their what we call church services, which they don't call church services. They literally sit in a room in silence.
Yeah,
and that's part of their form of worship. So they're not outwardly saying an invocation or a prayer, but just inwardly, just in silence. So you could do these things in silence, which is, of course, a different. As a meditation as well.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and so people can get an idea of what the traditional Chinese would use as an invocation.
Sure. It says, "Dear Divine Universe, creator of my being and giver of this life, I am thankful for the opportunity to be here. Today, please give me strength so that I may be authentic and live a purposeful life. By offering my gift to the world and being of service to another person, I am forever grateful. Thank you."
Go ahead.
I'm a firm believer in these. I have his father's workbook that has many invocations, and I just work through them, and I can see a massive difference, as I do them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I also have that workbook.
Yeah.
And in common to most invocations and most prayers, if not life itself, is that there's a gratitude. You're always grateful for things, and then you ask for help, and then also he mentions here offering my gift to the world. So giving is also important in your life work. So you want to be thankful, have gratitude, ask for help if you need it, and give to others.
Yeah.
And all those things will give you a sense of happiness that you can't get otherwise. Okay, and then he continues on, restore and rejuvenate at the root. So he points out, of course, that you can get tired on your journey, as would be expected. But he says it's entirely too tempting to reach for stimulants to keep you going, such as pills to help you stay up all night studying or driving. He says, while these are temporarily useful, they actually harm you over time, with many potential side effects, not to mention addiction. And then he goes through some of the side effects of things like caffeine, a whole long list of stuff. So he says, besides adequate rest and relaxation, along with good nutrition and supportive friends and family and community, the wise Chinese sages long ago devised natural botanical formulations of life force herbs to support healthy functions. So in traditional Chinese medicine, herbs are, in healthy eating, of course, are an important a thing for restoring and rejuvenating your body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
And not coincidentally, he has a line of herbs that he has at his business.
Yeah.
Which comes from, as I was watching some of the videos he sent this week, those formulations came from his family's 38 generations of Chinese healers and doctors. Mm-hmm. So over, I don't know how many years 38 generations is, quite frankly, many hundreds of years. So their family came up with which herbs, along with the traditional advice, which herbs work the best for various things. Yeah. And then he's combined these into, I can't remember the name of 5 elemental formula or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he also has herbs for your particular element. So if you're a water element, there's herbs for the water element and fire and so forth. He sent us some samples, and I started retaking those. I stopped taking them because I was going to the dentist there, but I started taking them. Frankly, I'm not sure if I noticed any difference. Now, of course, it would be a long-term effect, presumably, but yeah. I have been taking them, and have you been taking them for a long time, Brooke, or just when you got?
I haven't. I just started them a little bit ago because I was on some medications, and I wanted to get off my medications before I started taking them. And I mean, I do believe in them, and I do think they work. But it's similar to the effect of just eating healthy. So, you eat vegetables every day for a month, and you're kind of like, wait a second, is this really helping me? But obviously over months and even a year, you can see a drastic difference. It's that whole concept of eating like on the outside perimeter of the grocery store, not the inside. So I do think it's one of those prolonged things you have to constantly take to see a difference. But
yeah, I would tend to think that too. And of course, his father, Master Ni, is 99 years old. He may be 100. I don't know when his birthday is, but he was 99 last time we talked with Dr. Mao. And we would presume that he and his family have been taking these herbs forever. So that would be a case that it seems to work. And he's still climbing up and down the hills of California at 99 years old. So
I'm super jealous. I need that.
Yeah. It would be interesting to if somebody's done some scientific study on something like that. I don't know if that's been done or if it'd even be possible, because you'd have to measure somebody for decades on taking herbs or a particular type of herbs. So, but presumably though, the Chinese doctors know that just from experience, because they've been around for thousands of years, and they can say, well, yeah, the guy that's taking this herb seems to do well, and whatever. So that's presumably how they came up with that formulation. So it's been proved in experience, if not scientific studies.
Well, they say, so like they've done DNA studies where obviously certain, I guess, groups of humans tend to have more longevity and they wrinkle less, and who knows what else they've been studying. And the Chinese definitely have, in some cases, a longer lifespan. But I think I then read something where like there's all these people who talk about how we can like kind of affect our DNA. And, the Chinese have been taking these herbs for, like you said, like thousands of years. And I just think that over time they have protected themselves, or at least some of them.
Right. Yeah. Now, of course, things have changed dramatically in China, you know, in the last probably 50 years, where
It's a lot,
things,
yeah.
yeah, everything is so different that it would be interesting to somehow contrast the people who lived 100 years ago versus the ones that are living now. And of course, they say that the heart disease is the big killer of everybody now, and they claiming that's because of our stress and high pressure lives. So that would certainly be a difference between 100 years ago and now, heart disease being the big killer of everybody.
Definitely.
Okay, going on, Dr. Mao talks about procrastination, and he says he gets asked all the time, how do you manage to do so much? A full-time medical practice, a school of Chinese medicines, dozens of books written, speaking tours internationally, TV appearances, and so forth. And so he says his answer is accountability. And he says he's
Yes,
embarrassed to
sir.
admit he is a procrastinator, he says.
Oh,
But
is it?
yeah, but he says since he knows his weakness, he's actively tried to overcome it. So he holds himself accountable to patients by showing up to take care of them, accountable to the students by showing up to teach, and accountable to readers and publishers by writing his books. And he says in parentheses, instead of watching TV. Now, our Brooke and I's interaction with Dr. Mao, in a way, it showed that up, because I think 2 or maybe 3 times we were able to talk to him over the telephone, and I kind of was amazed too, because I was asking the question in my mind, how do you manage to talk to us on the telephone when you've got all these other things going on? But he was there, you know, 6:30 or whatever the point of time was. He showed up and says, you know, good evening, everybody. So even though he knows he's a procrastinator, he is holding himself accountable to show up on time for the various activities, which are legion.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was amazed when I found out that I was actually going to get to talk to him. I felt like almost like a starstruck Hollywood fanatic. I was like, oh, I'm actually going to talk to him. So yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I'm the opposite of Dr. Mao. I never procrastinate. I'm almost always one step ahead of myself, which is a problem. So I have to learn how to like tone it back and not have everything so done.
Yeah. I think we'll take
Stop?
one little topic. Well, let's take one topic here. It seems to be a good place. On 298, he talks about performance scoreboard, and then the next page, you cannot change what you cannot measure. So
Sure.
presumably part of that self-admitted procrastination he has, that he has a way of and it recommends to all of us to have a kind of a scoreboard that we need to keep score of where we are, not in a competitive way, but at least to know where we are. So he says on your life path, you need to monitor and keep score of how well you're performing relative to the goals you've set. And so that's one of the reasons he has the journaling idea, is you write down things you're trying to do and keep track and see where you are.
Yeah.
So he says, whether it's about physical health, financial goal, relationship healing, or career advancement, keeping a written scoreboard can help you measure your progress impartially.
Yeah.
And the next page, he says, you can't change what you can't measure. So, for example, one of your goals is to reverse your type 2 diabetes and to lower your blood sugar. You have to start monitoring your glucose each morning, and then do your things, your exercise, eating, and stress reduction, and so forth. And then over time, as you've lost weight, gotten in better shape, became more serene, you observe a drop in your fasting glucose. So by doing the measurements, you're correlating physically on your journals and in your mind that, well, these things that I'm doing towards my goal are actually seem to be working. They correlate with losing weight, with the, improving your health, improving your finances, getting a new job or whatever.
Yeah.
So you're reinforcing yourself continually positively that these things are in fact working instead of just being somehow random. So having the measure will help you stay focused on your efforts, increasing your chance of success. And that's
Yeah.
probably good advice. But that takes slowing down, of course. Because if you're like I was, you don't want to take time to slow down and write something down or even contemplate it. You just
Yep.
move forward.
Yep.
So that part that slow down and compare your goals with what you're doing and then measuring the results. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Anything you'd like to add?
No,
Brooke?
just thank you so much. I love going through this. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's fun for me too to kind of refresh my mind because both me and you have been doing these kind of ideas for years, and in our rush we tend to kind of lose sight of what we know internally and externally. So good.
And it's nice to hear other people's perspectives. So
yeah, exactly. The reason we have two ears and one mouth.
Yeah.
It's usually better to listen than talk. Talk a lot. Very good. All right. Well, once again, another great session with you, Brooke, and we'll pick up where we ended today next week at 11:30 on Sunday. And we wish everybody and Brooke you a good week and good luck with the new things you got coming up.
Thank you. You too.
And slow down.
Yes, I need to slow down every day.
Okay. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week, Brooke.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.